So this is Abraham, and one of Abraham's issues, now he's a puppy, but he doesn't show much respect for personal space. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a seat. I'm going to show the guardian how she can claim her personal space. Now, we were working on this exercise for about a minute and a half before. Now I want you to, let me explain it first. So you see how he's getting really nosy and invading space there. So for dogs, distance can equal respect. Of course, now he goes away. So go ahead and, come here, buddy. There we go. And so go ahead and, well, I'll tell you what, let's make it a little bit more appealing. We'll load you up with something. So you're just going to put the bag, your book down. There you go. And just kind of crinkle, maybe on the table. There you go. And then just crinkle it. There you go. Crinkle a little bit more. Drop it on the floor. All right, stand up. Turn to face him. Okay, so we're going to kind of pantomime because this video isn't, well, we'll continue this video. I probably won't use it, but we'll go ahead and try. So basically, grab a seat again. And then for dogs, like I mentioned earlier, distance can equal respect. So if we allow the dog to continually invade our personal space, then and we don't disagree, that can send a confusing message. Anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're reinforcing, but anything the dog is doing that you don't disagree with, they think you give a 2 thumbs up to. So basically, right now he's in your personal space. So I just started going through this section with you, but I'll go through it with you in this video. So the first thing I do to disagree with the dog is I make a hissing sound like a cat. Now I match his intensity. So I have 10 hisses. I have a level 1 hiss, and I have a level 10, which is close to what I did there. So I want to basically use the same energy level, otherwise he will not respect it. So now he's giving you about a 1 foot bubble of personal space. Just kind of put the bag next to you on your right on the couch. Just put, no, on the other, there you go. Yeah, just right there. And then you don't have to worry about guarding it. That's his job to do. We're going to watch. Now hiss, stand up. Now, to a dog, standing up, like I mentioned earlier, burning energy is a good way of communicating I'm serious about it. Now, you're doing what is my second consequence, which is standing up and turning to face the dog. Your authority goes whatever direction your belly button is pointing. Right now, your belly button is pointing to him. That's why earlier off camera, every time we moved around you, I told you to turn, keep facing him. Now, this is a protest. That's okay. He can protest. It's different protesting than invading your space. Now, when I move away from the dog, because my authority is directional, if you turn and face like your backyard, don't do it. But if you did, then your authority is turned away from him, and he's going to come right back to doing it. So what I would have you do now is take a small step backwards. Now, pause in between each step like you are. Now I'm going to turn and face the TV. And then you're going to go, don't do this yet. I'm going to have you grab a seat. But once you do, if he gets up towards you and invades that 1 foot bubble of personal space, then you're going to stand up abruptly. Wait for him to be stationary. Oh, march right at him. There you go. Stop. Take a step backwards. Turn to face the TV. Grab a seat. Now, if he starts to get up, you can hiss at him before he even gets there. Excellent. The hiss only works if you have good timing. You do it before they break the rule. So I wanted a 1 foot bubble of personal space. That's about 2 feet. Now, there you go. So the first consequence is a hiss. Take a step backwards. And never step backwards if he's moving towards you or if he's barking at you, because that's implied as I'm backing down from you. Now turn and face the TV, and then grab a seat. So the first consequence is I hiss 1 time per incident. Second consequence is only 1 time per incident. That was 2.
Sorry.
That's all right. All right, go take a step backwards. The second consequence is standing up. Turn to face the TV. Sit down. Like I said, for dogs, if you stand up, then that's your way of saying I'm serious about this. So, and what I do is I stand up abruptly and I turn to face him and I keep pivoting. If the dog goes this way, I pivot this way. If he goes that way, I pivot that way. So I'm going to keep the dog in front of me. I did the camera without the dog, but people at home will understand. Hiss. That was too little of a hiss. Okay. So you have to have 10 hisses. And you can make it longer as well. You're intensing, but you're making it still short. That was better. See how you got a response there. And we're going to ignore that. So the first thing that we do is hiss. Second thing we do is we stand up abruptly. When dogs communicate through a movement, it's a big, bold, sudden movement. So you stand up abruptly and you turn to face him, and wherever he goes, you keep him in front of you. You pivot your hips until he is stationary. When he's stationary, that's his way of saying I'm challenging you less. So he can stand in place, he can sit, or he can lie down. As soon as he does any of those three things, we want to take a step backwards. What I mean by step, I mean left foot, right foot, and then stop. Keep your feet together and keep your hips pointed at him. Now, if he sits or lies down, you want to take a big step backwards right after he did it, because when he sits or lies down, he's saying, I'm challenging you less. You say, I appreciate that by stepping backwards. Now, in this case, I had you turn to face the TV because now you're turning your authority slightly away from him, but letting him know you're still kind of in front of me. And then we pause a second, and then we sit down. I pause to kind of punctuate what I'm communicating. So that's the second consequence. The third consequence is a little bit what I had you do in there. The third consequence is to march directly at the dog. So we march at the dog. Now, for a dog, facing you is challenging. Turning sideways to you is more approachable. If you notice two dogs meeting together, they'll turn. They don't mate face to face usually. They kind of do a circle, and then one of them goes to the other dog's crotch. And so what you do is you march at the dog. You want to kind of a big sudden movement, and you want the dog to have like a flinching experience. Like, oh my God, if she's still here, now stand up. Now what I'm saying, there we go, big step backwards anytime they sit, and another step back, and then turn and face the TV, and then grab a seat. And I would have done it without your hands behind you at the time, but that's okay. Stand up again. Now he's testing you to see how serious you are. Now big step backwards, turn, and then sit down. Dogs need to repeat things a certain number of times before they understand it. There you go. So you're going to have to practice this. Good job with your hands. Now take a step backwards. And right there, you kind of did a little bit of a quasi curtsy. Don't do that. Just keep your hips together, your feet together, and your hips pointed at him. So the third consequence is I stand up and I march directly at the dog. So march at him until he turns sideways. Keep going, keep going. Now he sat, and he can sit down. That can work as well. But usually, next time I do it, I want you to, if he's still there, you bump into him and keep marching at him until he turns sideways or greater to you. Take one step backwards. One more step backwards. Turn to face the TV, and then grab a seat. The third consequence is, march until he turns sideways. Keep going. There you go. Turn sideways. Now keep your hips pointed at him. Take a step backwards. Again. And again. I love watching his tail there. It was up, and then it started going down as you took authority. All right, turn to face the TV. Up, turn back. Now, when you turned, you kind of you were casual. I want a snap turn. When you communicate through movement, it's got to be a big, bold, sudden movement. Otherwise, he thinks you're just meandering around. Perfect.